Hello everyone, welcome back to another brand new Jurassic World Dominion video. Much better setting, much better lighting than what we had for my spoiler-free review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you want to check out a review about it, but has no spoilers whatsoever, feel free to go and check out that exact video over on my YouTube channel. The quality is a little bit poor in that one simply because I was in my hotel room. It was like 2 in the morning and I had to makeshift some sort of area where it was appropriate to be able to film. But we did have a spoiler-free review, which only means that I must give a very important spoiler warning for today's Jurassic World Dominion video. Yes, spoiler warning. You heard me. Please do not complain about spoilers if you get spoiled in this video. The thumbnail will not be a spoiler. The introduction at this point in time is not a spoiler, and you have been warned in the thumbnail, title, description, and now at the start of this video. So please avoid this video if you do not want to be spoiled for Jurassic World Dominion. And if you do want to come back to this video, go ahead. You're welcome to, but after you watch the movie, as I understand that it is going to be, well, still about 3 more days until it comes out in a lot of other countries. At this point in time from this review, I have watched the movie 3 times, and I will be going to see it for a 4th time on June 7th around 7 PM British summertime. So I like to think that I've got a wide scape of what to expect for Jurassic World Dominion and what I think of it, and basically my review is going to be very well balanced. And yes, I may have a super mega fan channel, but we're going to push that to a side for now and only focus on it from a general audience point of view, and what I assume that most people will be thinking after watching Jurassic World Dominion. So without any further ado, let's get into this spoiler-filled review for Jurassic World Dominion. What were my favourite parts and what parts did I not like? So I've got my little phone setup right here. You probably can't see it, hopefully, otherwise it's a really bad setup. I think you can't see it. But we have the pros and the cons, and I'll start with the pros. Now, warning, this is not everything within the movie, obviously. It's just things that kind of stood out to me upon writing this script, and things that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while now. But the first one is Claire and Owen's relationship. I felt like it was very well put together within Jurassic World Dominion. I understand some people said that it feels a bit awkward and a bit off throughout Jurassic World, but that's literally the point of their relationship. It feels like it shouldn't match, but it does, and they kind of have some sort of offset feelings for one another. And then in Fallen Kingdom, basically their personality traits continued over, and it was good continuity when it came to their relationship. So a relationship that has always felt like it's kind of there, but not there in the previous movies in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, all of a sudden blossoms into something where they are mother and father. And it's brilliant. It's really nice to see because they feel much more natural and much more at home with each other when they do start to take over and look after Maisie Lockwood. And I feel like Jurassic World Dominion did a very good job of doing that. They did an incredible job of trying to make sure that, look, Claire and Owen are a really good couple and they deserve the happiness in the Jurassic franchise. And it's really nice to see that even after the end of the movie, they are right there, back at home, in the log cabin by a fire with Maisie, enjoying their time. And it feels like the Claire and Owen relationship has been worked on and focused on to make it a lot better in Jurassic World Dominion. There's simply no way that you can actually say that this relationship doesn't work out, because it simply does, and it looks really good on screen. Now we're moving on to a dinosaur here, and the Therizinosaurus. My goodness, if you haven't seen the movie, you don't know what I'm on about. If you have seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm on about. The Therizinosaurus was just incredible throughout Jurassic World Dominion. The CGI on it was just, I can't describe it. I seriously can't describe it. The cinematics and the CGI of the Therizinosaurus together, they went so well together, and I feel like it's mainly one of my favourite dinosaurs, if not my favourite dinosaur in Jurassic World Dominion, primarily because of how awesome it was. The way you can kind of see the Therizinosaurus go across the sun, and then the sun rays get blocked out by the Theri, and then the way that the Therizinosaurus is very, let's say, fluent to what it does in Jurassic World Dominion. It just feels so cool. And it's very territorial. There was this awesome scene with the deer that I'm sure you guys already know about. It's brilliant. The Therizinosaurus is definitely by far probably one of the best introductions to any Jurassic movie ever. And adding more things into the Dominion would be the locusts. At first, some people were very worried about the storyline of the locust and the subplot of it, but it actually turns out to be quite the main plot of Jurassic World Dominion. I've already seen some people complaining about it, saying that, oh, why did they add the locusts? This isn't good, and that they didn't really enjoy it. But for me, it kind of shows that, you know, yes, dinosaurs are running all across the world right now, but there are other problems happening as well. It's not just dinosaurs, dinosaurs, dinosaurs. It's nice to have some sort of new story that kind of changes Jurassic a little bit to showcase that a global famine is on the way if these locusts do not stop. And I felt like incorporating the locusts into Jurassic World Dominion was a great storytelling feature, and it was a great way to show that yes, dinosaurs are everywhere, but it's not just about the dinosaurs. People watch these movies because they're good movies and because they like the characters within them and possible other storylines. So I was very happy with the way that the locusts were added in Jurassic World Dominion. And something else that I was very happy about, and I'm actually very excited to discuss this, is Ramsay Cole's character. Played by Mamadou Afi, Ramsay Cole was just brilliant. He really was absolutely terrific, and I really want to see him in future Jurassic movies, where either they could be prequels, they could be after Jurassic World Dominion, who knows, but I feel like Mamadou Afi deserves to have a brand new movie where he's the sole focus and he is Ramsay Cole once again, because he was simply fantastic. And not only that, but I feel like you can appreciate Ramsay a little bit more in Jurassic World Dominion after you've watched it at least 2 or 3 times. At first it seems like, terrible writing, why is he telling Alan and Ellie where to go? But when you watch the movie again, the way that he portrays to tell Alan and Ellie where to go, it was actually really smart. It's like he knew that he wanted to kind of subtly push them into that direction to go the correct way to get the DNA sample. And, you know, just when you watch that again and again, you kind of realize that maybe Ramsay Cole is actually a really good character. And honestly, I thought he was brilliant, and I can't wait to see him, fingers crossed, in future Jurassic movies. And again, you know, Biosyn workers, Dr. Wu's now working for Biosyn, and I feel like he had an incredible redemption arc. Not too much to talk about him because he wasn't in the movie for too long, but either way, for the scenes that he was in the movie for, he was incredible. He really was. BD Wong portrayed Dr. Wu in a fantastic manner. I genuinely thought, you know, Dr. Wu was going to be a bad guy in Jurassic World Dominion, and he may be killed off by Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptors, very similar to what we saw in the Jurassic Park novel. However, that did not happen, and I thought I was going to be upset not seeing Dr. Wu die. Yeah, that sounds very morbid. But I feel like it was quite a satisfying end of Dr. Wu in Jurassic. It was brilliant the way he was just able to have a fantastic redemption arc. And with brand new characters who haven't appeared yet, Sayona Santos, Daishin Lockman, take a bow because you are brilliant. I really want to see more story of Sayona in a future Jurassic movie. As we know, she didn't die, Barry caught her, and I assume she got arrested. But how awesome would it be to have a spin-off series with Sayona Santos, where she is escaping some Maltese prison, and I assume because she goes everywhere, talks about all of these dinosaurs, we need to see more of her. She was fantastic, even if it was a brief stint in the movie. She was simply fantastic, and I'm so glad we got to see her. But obviously, I don't think we can beat Dr. Alan Grant. Alan Grant was... it was just Alan Grant. I don't know how to describe it. He was by far my favourite character in the whole of the franchise, and he did not disappoint when it came to Jurassic World Dominion. He was, again, fantastic. It was the same like you saw him in Jurassic Park 3. It felt so natural, normal, and Sam Neill portrayed Alan Grant in such a well-known manner that it just felt so seamless, like he came from Jurassic Park 3 straight into Jurassic World Dominion. Now, I do actually have loads of other pros for Jurassic World Dominion, but we'd be here all day if I described every single one bit by bit by bit. So we're going to move on to the cons now, and things that I didn't really like about Jurassic World Dominion. As we know, no movie is perfect. They all have their flaws. Jurassic World Dominion definitely had more flaws than we anticipated, but it was still quite enjoyable. And one of the main ones, well, let's talk about 2 here. The Giganotosaurus, and specifically the animatronics. Now, the animatronics are great, don't get me wrong. You know, we had something like 38 animatronics, I think it was, in Jurassic World Dominion, and they were brilliant. Dimetrodon was fantastic, their animatronic was brilliant. Dilophosaurus was a little bit off, but the Giganotosaurus animatronic was... yeah, you can see that it was very robotic-y, if that's a word. It was very much, you know, it didn't seem natural. And I feel like if it had a CGI overlayer of it, then it would have been more fantastic. When the Giganotosaurus was first introduced to the main cast, and they kind of went around the vehicle, he didn't really portray a threat, mainly because it was an animatronic that didn't move. It just kind of stood there and it didn't look natural. But then again, you know, the Giganotosaurus was hyped up to be a main threat in Jurassic World Dominion, and unfortunately that didn't come to fruition. It was just a dinosaur being a dinosaur. So the way that they kind of described the Giganotosaurus as the Joker makes zero sense to me. I did not get that vibe at all. I felt like the Giganotosaurus was merely just a dinosaur that was very... It was an apex dinosaur that was very territorial, let's say. And it just wasn't... It wasn't what we were expecting to be, like a huge monster wanting to see the world burn. I don't really agree with that. I felt like it was just like a normal dinosaur. I'm not complaining about that. I absolutely loved it again. But the way it was portrayed to be a threat, but didn't really come across one, was quite annoying. Yeah, so we move on to the storyline, which was a bit choppy. It definitely was. You can see that it was cut down, and I can only assume that eventually, maybe on Blu-ray discs or HD covers or 4K discs of Jurassic World Dominion, we will get an extended cut for the movie, reaching over 3 hours. I think this movie really deserves to be a 3.5 hour movie, 3 hour movie to tell all of the stories. It felt really choppy at times, a little bit rushed in some segments, especially the final battle. And I felt like it would have been a lot better if it was at least 3 hours long, adding an extra half an hour, 40 minutes to the movie. Because, as I said, it was just merely a choppy storyline. I felt like it should have flowed a little bit better than it already did, especially considering that you're advertising this as the epic conclusion of the Jurassic era. Which again is something else that I want to be nitpicky about. I would never call it the epic conclusion of the Jurassic era and give it the ending that it had. No chance. We know more movies are confirmed after Jurassic World Dominion. We know Camp Cretaceous Season 5 is happening after Jurassic World Dominion. Well, releasing, not taking place. And the way that they had the ending very open book style, it seems like anybody can return in prequels, sequels, who knows. But it didn't feel like a conclusion at all. I've got one here saying that the CGI was poor in some areas. Now that I think of it, I don't think the CGI was as bad as I remembered, but it was mainly on the close-up shots of dinosaurs such as Blue. The CGI just looked a little bit different and a little bit off, and considering they had a whole year extra to work on the CGI, I felt like it should have been better, to say the least. Now we get into cons where it's more of a they were not in the movie. The tiny little nitpicks that are just personal to me, but obviously they're just for fun to talk about, and the lack of. So starting the lack of gore. Yeah, Fallen Kingdom was great. It was good when it came to deaths, you know, especially Wheatley's death was great. You can see the arm come off and all of that jazz, but there was simply no blood with that, and that's one thing that I really wish I got to see. In Jurassic World, when the Indominus Rex was chewing on people, killing people, you actually saw blood, and it was entertaining and it was frightful, and it felt like there was a lot more at stake here. When it came to dinosaurs in Jurassic World Dominion, I think I only really counted, I want to say like 6 deaths, maybe something like that, something small. And with dinosaurs all over the globe, why 6 deaths? I felt like there should have been much many more, and especially Rain Delacourte's death. We knew that he was going to die. It was a bit obvious, you know, you don't have a villain like that only appear in Malta and not appear in the Biosyn labs, facilities or anything. So it was clear that something was going to happen to him, and he got literally his whole arm bitten off by a baby Carnotaurus with no blood. I don't know why there was no gore. Maybe it was to get accepted in China or some places like that, or maybe have a lower rating to increase more ticket sales for parents taking their kids to watch Jurassic World Dominion. But I feel like they've left off a lot of gore in Jurassic World Dominion, and when it does come to, let's say, the DVD releases, hopefully they'll add a lot more gore and blood and action and bones and all of that jazz. I keep saying jazz a lot, I don't know why, but all of that type of stuff in the DVD releases, because it deserves to be in it. It's a dinosaur movie. There are deaths going to happen. It's a bit obvious. But yeah, so because of the lack of gore, I felt like it kind of hindered Jurassic World Dominion's natural feel a little bit. And the same, lack of deaths. Why were there only like 6 deaths, I think? I'm not going to count them right now, but I can only count something like 5 or 6 deaths in Jurassic World Dominion. And it was a little bit disappointing. I was expecting to see a lot more. Yeah, so now I'm going to move into the nitpicks. You can completely disregard this. This is only a personal preference. But I was quite upset we didn't see the Oviraptor, considering that we got confirmed every species, including the prehistoric bug from the Cretaceous period, in the Jurassic World prologue would appear in Jurassic World Dominion. Now, Iguanodon did appear, but it was only a background dinosaur, for a screen time, a grand screen time of about 5 seconds. It was barely anything. You can't even spot it unless you look for it. So it was quite disappointing, but not as disappointing as Oviraptor. Where was it? Where was Oviraptor? We were promised an Oviraptor and we never got to see it, which really disappointed me. I really wish we did see it. But even still, we could have seen it in a post-credit scene. However, there was no post-credit scene. I love post-credit scenes. I feel like they kind of set up some sort of theory, some speculation, some imagination to people after the movie. And yes, I kind of see why they didn't do it, because they wanted it to come across like the epic conclusion of the Jurassic era. But if you have such an open book story and open book ending, throw it. Why not? Just throw in some sort of post-credit scene there. Maybe showing Darius and Brooklyn from Camp Cretaceous, or maybe showing something with the Barbasol can being discovered in the Hyperloop. Something like that would have been awesome, and unfortunately we didn't get it. And again, you know, I'm being very nitpicky here, and not many people are going to agree with me, but that's fine. Cameos. Again, you're teasing this and promoting this as the epic conclusion of the Jurassic era, and there was next to no cameos. I was hoping to see maybe Billy, a mention of Billy, maybe even Paul Kirby. I feel like he was right up there to be in Jurassic World Dominion, and we never saw him. Even though, you know, some sort of link to Kirby Enterprise. The only actual cameo that I can think of was Emily Carmichael, which she's a writer on Jurassic World Dominion, and she appeared in the movie for a split second with Jeff Goldblum when he was signing some books. So yeah, there were basically next to no cameos in Jurassic World Dominion, and if you're culminating the whole story and you're bringing people back, why not have 10 seconds of Paul Kirby fixing up Alan Grant's kitchen? Why not bring back Billy at Alan Grant's dig site digging up some sort of fossil or something? You know, stuff like that would have been awesome to see. But again, those last points are just personal preferences. They don't really hinder the storyline that much or the movie that much in the grand scheme of things, and it's just a little bit of fun to describe. But yeah, so that basically equals out my pros and cons for Jurassic World Dominion, with spoilers, my favourite moments, my least favourite moments. There was a lot to uncover in this movie, and I still need to do my full movie breakdown. That's going to be hell, because there's so much to do, and I'm going to see the movie for a 4th time tomorrow, June 7th. So there is a lot to do now, and I can only hope and wait that it gets better over time. I'm going to enjoy my moment before some certain people end up getting their hands on Jurassic World Dominion and decide to talk down on it just because it's a Jurassic movie. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to press that like button and subscribe if you're new and you want all of these new Easter eggs, details, or any sort of news for the Jurassic franchise. I want to say a massive thank you for 140,000 subscribers. We did it, we hit the target before June 10th. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're staying safe out there, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Bye bye.